Okay, I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking, but hear me out on this one.
Without life to spare, I am nothing.
When you only have one life, that's what makes it special.
Go get him, Tiger.
Hey! Take it easy. This is gonna be fun. What's happening? I am Puss in Boots.
And today we have Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Now, I'll be the first to admit, DreamWorks' track record with films is not perfect. I get that. They've made some absolute bangers in the past. I don't even need to get into it too much. We have the likes of Kung Fu Panda. You have the arguably genre-redefined works of Shrek. Not even being sarcastic. Like, this stuff is innovation. How to Train Your Dragon. Personal, like, little sleeper favorites like mine, Over the Hedge. The list goes on. Some of them are still good. I reviewed Bad Guys earlier last year in 2022, and I thought it wasn't perfect, but it was very enjoyable. It was definitely above average. I mean, literally the first trailer that hit YouTube was like 6 months ago, so I don't know if this film was delayed intentionally or unintentionally, but I saw the trailer and I thought, oh, that looks kind of fun. And I saw like the second trailer a few months later and I thought, oh, the animation style looks cool. It gives me vibes to like Spider-Verse or even like Mitchell vs. the Machines, maybe even Bad Guys, but it's a little bit different than what DreamWorks normally does, so that looks interesting. But this movie never fully registered as a I'm excited to see it kind of movie. Then it came out and the critics are like just fucking getting off to this movie. People are talking about it. My fellow film friends and aficionados were like, dude, unironically, you have to like go see this movie. It is so good, so fun. Director of Puss in Boots is a Joel Crawford, whose directing filmography is very limited. You might know that he's done was the second Croods movie. From what I heard, first Croods movie, you can skip it. Second Croods movie, actually really good. So I guess this guy has a thing for sequels, because this is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is a sequel. There was a Puss in Boots film from, I shit you not, literally 10 years ago. I think over 10 years ago. That was a spin-off, because Puss in Boots, you know, it around as a fairy tale to begin with. He came up in Shrek 2, and then people liked him so much that he got his own spin-off. You literally don't have to see it to see this one. It's just a film that exists. So, on the whole, I'll make this quick, because literally I literally have no complaints about this movie. It is perfect. I have no notes. It's great. It's a great film. The animation is great with a little bit of variance. I did mention that it definitely takes inspiration from stuff like Spider-Verse and from stuff that, like, just modern animation that changes it up a little bit. I heard a reviewer, Shafrillis on YouTube, mention that when that frame rate drops, you know the fight's about to be buzzing. And that's true. But there's a certain paintbrush art technique used in a lot of the environments in this film that make the place just, the whole movie just feels more alive than it ever has been. There's lights, there's darks, there's fun animation in the fight scenes, the choreography in these fight scenes, and the animation, plus the character design. So the movie is great, looks great, and it's fun to go through, but also the fights, combat, and action are super fun, engaging, and just visually just enjoyable to watch. Performances are great. I have no qualms at all. The main core cast, the villains, the antagonists, any side characters, everybody brings their vocal A game to this and play off each other really well. Their delivery, their line delivery, performances, the comedy beats all land and hit. None of it was cringy, it was all funny. There's thematic material that's discussed in this film. Fear of mortality, fear of death, basically, PTSD, abandonment issues, all these different subjects and more are brought to the table and respectively, if not discussed, at least shown and demonstrated. The effects of all these things, they're all brought to the screen very well. And especially for a movie, you look at this and you're like, oh, a kid's movie. Like, no, you look at Cocomelon on Netflix or something, you think, yeah, that's a kid's show. It's meant to educate our youth. But you look at movies like this, and I think that's not a kid's movie. This is just an animated film. Animated films, in my mind, don't have to have an age limit. You can be any age, any sex, gender, race, anything like that, and you can it's just a movie. It's an animated film. That being said, this does work on both like a individual watcher, like reviewer, cinephile level, plus also like a family film level. So it does work for a broad audience. Also, if we can talk for like just 10 seconds, I'm low-key obsessed with the main villain of this film. Everybody's been talking about him online. Problem is, I'm not a furry, but all the furries online are talking about him. But the big bad wolf, I mean, I'm a fan of good animation. I love villains more than I love heroes in most stories, and I love just like, I don't know, the character design of this is just dark, and like you can tell, like he's kind of like got that, you know, loco, like he's just a bit demented, but his motivation makes sense and all this. I don't know if it's justifiable, but he's so cool. Not to mention, I actually felt stakes. That's the big thing. What turns me off of a lot of animated films is a lack of a sense of stakes. But as an example, from the moment the big bad wolf shows up, there's tension, there's fear, there's actual, I wasn't sure how the story was gonna pan out, like throughout most of its runtime up until the ending. So these big encounters, especially the final encounters, all have legitimate actual weight to them. Going off of animation again, I thought there were a lot of unique and special details, both in like fantasy nursery rhyme lore sprinkled throughout the movie, as well as character design, how they move, interact, like just little bits about their design that come out whenever they engage with characters in the environment. Just little things in the tools they use, their weapons, their movement. Just, I love the attention to detail there. The animators went fucking hard in this movie, and it does not go unnoticed by me. I could go on and on about this movie all night. I want to go watch it again. I really, if it was streaming by now, I'd be rewatching it over and over for sure, but I mean, I can only stand here for so long and tell you about this movie. Don't get me wrong, I was also, you know, ye of little faith over here. I myself was a doubting Thomas before this movie even came out, but I heard the reviews, I trust my friends' opinions, I went in, and now all I can do is spread the gospel and tell you, for one, go see this movie in theaters. If animated films aren't your thing, if you don't give a shit about Puss in Boots, I guess you could skip it, but I cannot recommend this film enough. Support it so we can get more films like this. I believe Shrek 5 is already confirmed at this point, or at least more in that universe, that side of DreamWorks, you know. I just want to make sure DreamWorks gets the message that this kind of film works and is art and is good, and that people like me, hopefully people like you, want more of it. I don't mean to stand on a soapbox and tell you this is a masterclass in cinema, the best movie of the year, of the decade. I don't mean to tell you that. I do mean to say that it is an excellent animated film that made my top 10 for the year as well. I think it's just about perfect in what it sets out to do, its quality as a film, my personal enjoyment. I loved it. So for all these reasons and more, I would give Puss in Boots a solid 5 out of 5. I give it a 5 out of 5. I do not have complaints. If you dig deep enough, yes, you can find some nitpicks, you can make some gripes. I've heard some arguments against a perfect rating, and I can see where they're coming from. I don't altogether disagree, but from my perspective, it's just about perfect. It's 100% worth your support, worth a watch, and yeah, like I said, I could just sit here all day and talk about it, but that's all I gotta say. Go see it. It's great. I loved it. Yeah, thank you guys and gals so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode of whatever I make. We're almost caught up on 2022 releases, because these are being recorded. I'm playing catch up right now in 2023, and I think the releases are going to start hitting pretty soon, so I'm just catching up with what is left from last year. There'll probably be 2 or 3 more from 2022 most likely, but we're almost there, so stay tuned for when we actually catch up and get into the new year, a new year of reviewing films. In the meantime, goodbye, travelers.